Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another Q&A session. Today, we're going to look at some digital tools and the Common Instructional Framework strategies. So hopefully you'll be willing participants today and play along as a student so you can get some of these strategies. This is just a little taste in the beginning, and hopefully if you like these strategies using digital, we'll do some more. So please keep your mic muted today. If possible, just ask your questions in the chat section, and Valentine and Marco and David are here. We can have them help with the answering of those. If you haven't registered on the professional development system, please do that. This is session 297413. We also put the link in the chat that will take you right to that session. And don't forget to do the remote check-in. The code is PSJA Tech. So just type that in and check in so you can qualify for the door prizes at the end of the session. All right, so let's just delve right in. What is CIF? Well, I'm sure all of you know the answer to that because we are really focusing on the Common Instructional Framework in our district this year. And really what it is, it's just instructional coherence, providing every teacher, regardless of your subject that you teach, it's just a common language to help discuss the instructional strategies. So you're familiar with the classroom talk, the collaborative group work, literacy groups, questioning, scaffolding, and writing to learn. So all teachers are familiar with that common language and those strategies to help the kids with thinking. And really, every student-centered activity you do that is centered in learning, it's a learning activity, it will fit into the Common Instructional Framework. Guess I could have put this on the slideshow mode there. It's a little bigger for you. Okay, so the first activity we're going to look at is called Chalk Talk. We're going to be using a third grade activity that was in the curriculum this year for the second 6 weeks, the third week in language arts. And the Chalk Talk activity, I found it in the little, not so little, itty bitty book of CIF on page 7. So I'm sure you're familiar with this book. I believe everyone has a copy of it. It might have been a digital copy, or your CLL might have printed one for you. But in any case, I got some of the strategies that we're going to go through today from the book. And of course, they weren't digital, but we converted it to making it a little bit digital. This activity will cover kind of classroom talk, some scaffolding, and maybe also collaborative group work. So, and you might like this because the activity is supposed to be done completely in silence. So if you need a break, and you need some quiet in your classroom, maybe use an activity like this. Doesn't guarantee it will be silent, but you can try. So the tool I chose to use for this one is FigJam. Some of you may be familiar with Jamboard. That was a Google tool that had like a whiteboard tool. And that is going to be ending after the end of the 2024. So FigJam is a new tool. It's been around, but it's a new one that we're kind of focusing on in education, and they're offering it for free for educators. So you can sign up for this tool. I'm going to share the slides with you, and the link will be here. You can sign up for a free educator account. You just have to put your information that you're a teacher and with the district that you work for, and you will be able to join for free. And we're also going to use Nearpod, and this is going to be a self-paced activity that you're going to be doing in just a minute. And if you like the activity, you can get a copy of that lesson. And I also did put the link here to the FigJam. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this Chalk Talk activity. So I'm going to give you this self-paced link. Let me put this in the chat real quick. And what we're going to do is we're going to read the article for this, and let's give you a couple minutes. Oh, that's not the right link. Sorry about that. Hang on. Give me my previous one. I don't want you to go to the professional development again. There we go. Okay, this is a link to a Nearpod, and it is a self-paced Nearpod. So if you'll click on that link and join, I'll go over the activity rules that we're going to do. This is the code as well, but if you click on that link in the chat, it will take you right there. So before we can do the work of talking, we have to have a little background knowledge. So from this activity, we're going to read an article. And if you go into the Nearpod activity, let me switch over here to Nearpod. This is the student paced activity. Let's see if we have anybody joining in. Oh, great. Thank you for those of you that are joining. I can see, I'll be able to see some of the progress in the activity as we go through. So what you're going to do is you're going to, first of all, read the Newsella article. Now, if it's not opening for you, then I suggest you try the Chrome browser. I was on Edge earlier and it wouldn't open the PDF for me. And I'm going to open it also as a live participation, just so we can kind of go through. Okay, so you're in the self-paced one. Here you're going to read the Newsella article, and then you're going to go to the next slide, which is a fig jam. And I'll show you what the fig jam looks like. You're going to have the link, and basically it's a whiteboard. So here you're going to try out some of these fancy tools. I don't even know all the tools yet, but there's tons and tons of tools down here. Of course, you have your marker, your post sticky notes, and you're going to answer this question. You know, what is the author's purpose? Oh, good. I like how people are trying out all these cool tools already. There's cameras. There's, I know there's washi tape. If Sanaida was always crafty with her washi tape. So if you can read the article just real quickly and then explore, or even if you don't read the article, you'll get the gist, and write down what you think the author's purpose is for writing this section. And if you notice on the whiteboard, it's not just constricted to the area that we're here. You can go up and down and sideways. It's all over the place. So pretty cool tools. I love how everybody's exploring. If anybody has any questions, let me know. I personally don't know all the tools yet, but I think it's pretty fun. I'm going to go ahead and set the timer over here for 2 minutes. Oh, how do I go back down? Let's see. Now it kept going up to 5. I don't want 5. I want 3, 2. There we go. So it kind of has a timer in here, which is pretty cool. Ooh, look at all those Polaroids coming in. I love it. Okay, I'm not seeing much about deserts and what the author's purpose is, but that's okay. I know you all get the gist of how that's working. And I'm just really in love with the Polaroids and all those kind of good things. And I like that there's a little timer here. I have a whole recording, and if you're interested, we can share that with you on one of the founders or one of the people that actually works for Figma in the Fig Jam. There's like a little training on how to use this tool and all the bells and whistles that it has. Today, we're just kind of exploring and having some fun. Let me scroll around. Let me see if anybody's providing author's purpose here. All right. I love it. Somebody answer the question. Now here, you could also have the students comment on other students, or maybe you can come in and you can circle something you found interesting as a teacher to kind of generate further discussion. And it's all in silence, right? Hopefully the kids are having fun and enjoying, but also, being quiet about it. So I just put it all in Nearpod because I figured it would be easy to put that article in that way. They have all the information at their fingertips. Nearpod doesn't have to be like a full-blown, 20-slide lesson. It can be one activity or two. Up, and there's my timer. So time is up. Awesome. I'm glad y'all were exploring and checking out those tools of FigJam. And even, this is a great way to share some thoughts. All right. So that was our first activity. And I'm not even going to watch if you're still in there playing or not. But this activity was called Chalk Talk. So it's just a way, to do talking without being so loud in the classroom. And if you just need a little digital tool instead of just talking all the time, it just changes things up a little bit. So any questions on that before I move on? Okay, thank you for joining in. If you do have questions, just put them in the chat and let me just check the chat real quick. I'm sure the guys will let me know if there was something. It was the Nearpod link, but I'll put that in. We can put that in there for you, Ms. Solis. And you can still go in and check it out. Okay, I'm going to move on. The next activity is called Talking Drawings. And this again was from that little itty book of Common Instructional Framework activities. This time I'm just going to focus like on a social studies objective. And I always think, in October, November, like of the pilgrims, coming over on the ships, that type of thing. So we're going to just kind of do a different take on the classroom talk. This one is called Talking Drawings. It focuses maybe on scaffolding, writing to learn, collaborative group work. And in Talking Drawings, you're going to have students use their prior knowledge to think of a visual context. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to be using Nearpod again, but we're also going to use Scribble Diffusion. If you haven't heard of that, it's kind of a drawing tool. And it might not be perfect because it's going to change your drawing a little bit, but it's kind of fun and it might be something to try. And then there was a template in the itty bitty Common Instructional Framework book to create a Draw It in Nearpod using Addendum 1. So I turned it into a Nearpod and we're going to try it out. So let me put the Nearpod lesson. This one, we're going to join live. I just want to copy it. Sorry about that. And first, let me open it because I don't think it will let you get in unless I'm in there. Okay, now let me put that in the chat for you. There is the code. It's HQVZX. This one I'm going to do teacher paste. We'll see if we get some people joining. So this one, we're going to do some thinking, and then we're going to do some drawing. Then we're going to do a little lesson, which we're going to kind of skip the lesson today for time period, but you're going to see how after you do the lesson, then the students get to rethink the information that they had already on the subject. Okay, if anybody wants to join, the link is in the chat and the code is always up here at the top. So if you have any students that missed like the link or missed the code at the beginning, the code always sits here at the top so they can always jump in, whenever they get there. All right. So what we're going to do here is we're going to close your eyes and think about the early settlers traveling the open seas and arriving in a new land. What challenges did they face? How did they interact with natives? What was their relationship with England? So start thinking about that. And I'm just going to give you 1 minute. I know I said 2, but let's just think for maybe 30 seconds to 1 minute so we can have enough time for all our activities today. Think about those questions. Okay, now that you've had time to think about that, I want you to go to, let me take you to the next slide. And I have the link here for Scribble Diffusion. So go ahead and click on the link and you should be able to open that website, which looks like this. There's a picture usually always here, and it's not always a cat, but what you can do is you can clear this. And now with your mouse, if you're using a computer or if you have your tablet, you can always use the finger as well. What you're going to do is draw what you envisioned. What do you see as those early, settlers are coming over? What kind of challenges did they have? And you're just going to draw a picture of what you see in your mind. So I'm just going to draw like a ship. Go ahead and draw. I'll give you a minute or 2. And I'm not an artist. And of course, with the mouse and the pen, it's not super easy. But with Scribble Diffusion, it's going to change your picture into something cool. You can see I'm definitely not an artist. I always think of sunny days too. So I always put a sun in my pictures. Hopefully you're drawing what you saw. Then you do type in a little description at the bottom when you're done with your picture. And when you're ready, you're going to press go. And what Scribble Diffusion does is it kind of like artifies your drawing. I think the students would have fun with this tool. And really, you can think about these activities that can be done with lots of different content. And voila, I've become an artist. I love Scribble Diffusion. It always turns my art into something way cooler than what I did. So now what I'm going to do is I need to save a snip for later because I am going to be uploading this to my Nearpod. So I'm just going to come in and either take a screenshot or a snip, and then I'm going to save it. I'm just going to save it in my downloads. I know it's not my. And just, you can label it whatever you like and save it in your documents or wherever you'd like to save it. Okay, so now that the students have done this part of the activity, then you would go to the next slide, which is time to learn. So now you might have a video, you're going to have a lesson on the activity. You're going to talk about, the settlers. You're going to give all that information. You're going to actually do the lesson. And so this might not be like a 1-day activity. You might come back to it, I don't know, or it could be a 1-day activity. And so now, after you've done the lesson, voila, or they've watched the videos or both, then you're going to have them come back and think about their perception. So they're going to go to Scribble Diffusion again, and they're going to review or define their drawing by creating a new one that integrates what they've learned about the topic or what they've learned from the lesson. And then when they're done, they're also going to take a snip again to record it on the end. So again, you would come here. I'm not going to do a whole nother lesson. You get the idea. You can, whatever they changed might, be envisioned in this picture. Okay. And then on the last page of the Nearpod, this is where you're going to come in and put your before picture, your after picture, and then some thoughts. Okay, in this space, you're going to tell what changed about your before and after pictures and explain why you made those changes. So here, I can come down here are my tools. I'm going to insert my image. I had it saved on I saved it on downloads because I didn't have as much there. And I'm going to come in and bring in my picture into the before. Okay, then the students would bring in their after. And if you did before and after, go ahead and add those in. Thank you for those of you that are participating. And that is how that activity would work. Any questions on that?
There is no questions in the chat, Debbie.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. So I love Scribble Diffusion. Just go in and try it out yourself, even if you're not doing one of the activities. It is like a fun little activity and some kind of a stress reliever sometimes if you're kind of like to be artistic. It's kind of cool. All right. Then on the last one that we're going to do, and I know our time is limited, so we'll go over it pretty quick. This is an activity called Find Someone Who Knows. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to find an expert in the room on the topic, and you're going to see who knows the answers to questions. So this is going to be a flip activity. And when you're done, we're going to actually record in the flip. Let me put that link here. If you're not familiar with Flip, it is a video recording tool. And Flip is great for talking. Students can record their voice and be heard. So this protocol is for students to search for information by moving around and talking to each other. But in our case, we're going to be looking at Flip videos to find the experts. So that's the technology twist. So they're going to view the other videos. So what we're going to do is in this Flip activity, if you go to Flip, hopefully you got to this topic. This is my little recording of the direction. So let's just play that. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our activity today. I would like you to think back to the news article that you read on Deserts Explained. And in 1 minute, I want you to tell me everything that you remember reading. You might be one of the experts in our next part of the activity, which is kind of like a little scavenger hunt to find out who knows some answers to the questions that I'm going to ask. So you have 1 minute and you may begin now. Okay, so I kind of have the written directions here as well, but I like to do a little, well, from Valentine, he likes to do the recording, so I was going to follow in his footsteps and do the recording as well, because the students do like to see you and see what the lesson activity is going to be. So to record, all you do is press record here. So I want you to think about everything that you read in that article, and you can go back and look at it, you can read it, and you have 1 minute to record everything you could think about in that article. Now, because what we're going to do is on my next Google slide, I have some questions. So I'm just going to give you a peek at the questions. I know we only have about 5 minutes left. And these would be the questions I was going to ask. And this is just real simple, right now. But you could, of course, relate this to your content and have your content questions here. How many inches of rain can a desert get in a year to still be considered a desert? Are all deserts hot? How can desert plants survive without water for long periods of time? So those I would not give those to the students ahead of time because I want to see what they know. So you're recording for 1 minute. So I don't know if anybody has time. If you want to, that would be great to do a little recording and maybe answer some of these questions. So then what I would do is once I have my recordings, everybody can see them here in our flip. And the next thing the students would do would be to see the questions. And now they would watch the videos, the responses that their teammates or their class had, and find someone who knew the answer. So instead of running around the room making a lot of noise, this is just a different, avenue. And it would be fun for them to run around the room and find the expert as well. But this is just a little digital twist on a digital tool that you could use to change it up a little bit. So I don't know if anybody wants to try to do that. You're free to record. See if any are coming in. Yes, Miss Elise, this is formally Flipgrid. They have changed the name to Flip, but it is the same tool. They've actually made it a lot easier to share things. You just come in, you create a group, you create a topic, and you just share the link and people can start recording. So it is very simple. Of course, this will take a little bit of time, but you could give your students, they have 1 minute for the recording. So of course, give them, maybe 5 minutes to get it done and loaded. And then you would move on to the next part of the activity where they're actually watching the videos and finding those answers.